When you're employing chefs today, you said before that personal ownership aspect's important. What else do you look for in up-and-coming chefs today?
A lot of old-fashioned things. I want them to be punctual. I want them to be tidy. I want them to be pleasant, hygienic, hard-working. You're looking. We can teach them how to cook, but you often can't teach those things unless you sort of have to beat it into them a little bit, because you really do need to. These guys are young. The guys and girls are quite young coming into the restaurant. Often, 17, 18, 19, 20, and first time out in the big wide world and in a job, and they need to be, they need to learn a few life lessons along the way and what it's all about. So you do have to sort of mentor them and teach them how to handle themselves in a kitchen and how to work and what it's all about, really.
Yeah. And what about? Oh, sorry.
Bottom line, it's all about food.
And do you believe in food? Is there such a thing as chefs of natural talent, or is it more about developing your skill through learning from others and so on?
Very few, I think. I've found, I know a few really good natural cooks who just, and it's more about how they work, not about the knowledge of food, because I think they work so beautifully in the kitchen and so naturally. So cooking is vast. There's so many different cultures and cuisines and ingredients and techniques, and it's like a bottomless pit that you can actually never fully cover everything. So I think there's a huge amount of learning that goes on, and restaurants, one aspect of it, running a restaurant and being a chef, is doing the cooking. But if it's your own business, you better know what's going on in the rest of the business, otherwise it's not going to last. Or have a business partner or work with people who cover that side for you.
Yeah. And what about the other countries that you've travelled over the world of? Is travelling an important part of being a chef to sort of absorb other cuisines and so on?
Yeah, of course it is. I've spent a hell of a lot of time in France. I absolutely love France as a country, and I love the cuisine, and I love the classical nature of it, that real grounding, and the way it's tried and tested and true. I spend quite a bit of time in America. I lived in New York for 4 years, so I absolutely love it over there. I'm going to LA next month on a food-based trip where we go and eat there for 5 days. I was in Malaysia 3 months ago, eating for a week, where we're just purely eating. So, and that's all just about teaching myself, different things, opening my eyes to different ways of cooking, to different cultures, why they cook like that, where it all comes from, and eating.
Yeah. What does it take to be a world-class chef?
You have a massive passion for food. You have to be driven. You have to be the ability to make sacrifices, and because it's not the easiest job hours-wise, it does take up a huge amount of your time. You need to understand food, and these days These days you really do need to be the complete package. You need to be as good out the front talking to your guests as you are in the kitchen. Because people want to see you. 20 years ago they didn't want to see a chef. These days they're unhappy if they don't. If the chef's not there, they're unhappy. Where's the chef? Why is he not there? Why is he not in his own restaurant? 20 years ago they couldn't care less. Well, it seemed that way. And so the chefs really are in the limelight. But with that, you also need to be able to really understand how to run a successful business. And that's about being the whole package. Deal with media, be able to get up and speak to people, be able to inspire the cooks that you have working for you, and sort of teach them and mentor them and all that sort of stuff. And none of this stuff chefs get trained. Let's get that straight. We get trained to cook, and that's it. So to learn all that other stuff along the way is a real key to longevity as a chef, I think.
And if you had to sum up your sort of top 3 bits of advice for any aspiring chef out there in terms of young people or otherwise, what would you say?
Be patient, be calm, work hard, and be in it for the long game.
So Josh, you're a world-class Kiwi, we're all bloody proud of you. So can you look down the camera here and tell us, what are your wise words for the people of New Zealand?
Wise words, look after the produce, look after food. We have literally the best produce in New Zealand. It's all about the produce, so look after it, cook it well, and enjoy.
Cool. Josh, thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Cheers.